Just walk away. Just walk away. And there will be an end to the horror.
So I've been thinking a lot about the Silver Age, and I got that. I downloaded Daredevil because the reason I did is because as a kid I was always really attracted to the character.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's Matt Murdock, dude. He's Batman, a different version of Batman.
He's a better version of Batman.
Well, he's a different version. Yeah.
I think he's better. You know why?
It's different. DC DC heroes and Marvel heroes deal with different types of evil.
Right. True. Very true. But I'll tell you, the reason why I really, I don't know, maybe I was so attracted to Matt Murdock and not Bruce Wayne as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean,
because when you're a kid, you can't relate to being a playboy billionaire. But the second you see Daredevil, you're like, "What? He can see, and he doesn't have his eyes."
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
Right away, you're just like, "That's amazing."
And he wasn't rich, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
remember his dad was beating people up as an enforcer.
Yeah.
That's what he saw and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an incredible thing about. At least my personal attraction to the characters as I grew up. I don't know why I wasn't so attracted to Batman. I mean, it was there. It was in my face. But I've noticed when you're younger, people are either DC or Marvel when they're younger. And then when they grow older, they're both of them. Yeah, but at that time, I didn't really understand the difference between DC and Marvel. I just understood characters, as a kid.
Yeah.
And when I saw Matt Murdock as a kid who was blinded, a guy who was blinded as a kid, and then,
radioactive stuff that came off.
Yeah. And then eventually he learned from his father, and then he bettered himself, this self.
Yeah, it's
betterment.
The Joseph Campbell mythology. Whereby you become your own parent.
Yeah. So but if we're talking about that, Batman obviously was a generation before that, right? And we're.
I'll forget this if I don't mention it now. Earlier we were talking about racism and how racism is gynocentric.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically saying racism proves gynocentrism. Because it's about conservation and reproducing with their own. So think about it.
Okay, expand on that for me.
I'm high. You're gonna have to remind me what part.
La da 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 la da. La 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 la, la 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 la, la la la.
Racism, gynocentrism. How does that?
Racism. Basically, look at the Nazis. They died for their women. They were a woman-loving society. And that was their folly. So was the French.
Right.
French,
Okay, but how does that connect with what we're talking about? And come on, let's bring it back to comic books. How does that connect with Bruce Wayne and Matt Murdock?
Because the relatability factor.
Oh, okay.
Right off the bat, when you're a kid, you don't when you see a billionaire, you don't have the same concept as when you see a blind guy, running around or even just walking. You're like, that's it's just self-evident that that's awesome.
Yes. All right, so relatability. Now, is this perhaps
just to say this, this is why you and I both have a problem with Superman, because he's such a god. He can be everybody. They all have their own interpretations. That whole thing. But yeah.
Right. Well, we could almost argue the same for Batman then.
Yeah, of course.
But let's remember, Batman and Superman are golden age, right?
Yeah.
And we want to move into the Silver Age.
Yeah.
And
Punisher.
Exactly. And when we move into the Silver Age of comics, and I talk about Matt Murdock, obviously we're talking about a character who has a background that is far more relatable. And to me, that defines or draws that line, that defining line between the Silver Age and the Golden Age. The Golden Age was just overpowered, take it as it is. And are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
I was just thinking about how Iron Man is basically Batman.
Yes. Oh God, I made that argument so many times, and I hate it when people disagree with me. But the point is that
even Stan Lee admits it.
Of course he does.
Fuck them. He admits it.
Of course he does. And I think and if we're talking Silver Age compared to Golden Age, we really have to admit this one thing, that Stan Lee defined the Silver Age.
Yes, the Fantastic Four.
Yes,
everything.
Stan Lee, Jack Kirby.
Yeah, because when they were forming Avengers, it forced DC to do what they're doing now.
Yes.
In movie form, ironically, they're catching up to them.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But it was a moment where the typical hero became something that was the mythical hero became something within the what's the word?
It became anthropomorphized, like turned into an actual human being.
Yeah, yes. And through the medium, right? I mean, the medium of written word, written prose, and pictures. And in that medium, it suddenly became something that you could relate to. All right, they took it to the Marvel Universe through Jack Kirby and basically Stan Lee took it to that next level. Do you agree?
Yeah. But on a sort of related subject matter, do you remember when they go to in the Infinity Gem, Thanos is going after the Infinity Gems, they fuck up the... God damn it, I forgot what I was saying.
Infinity Gems, what happens?
The Infinity Gems, something about their appearance. They're doing it in the movies now with, the guy who's smiling at the end of Thor.
Thanos.
That's
yeah.
Thanos. And he's going to be collecting the Infinity Gems.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of the Infinity Gems together can do anything. And, have you ever seen it where there's like every single cosmic, like one by one, like the heroes are sent, then the cosmic entities are sent, and in the process, Silver Surfer like absorbs Galactus and becomes a being unto himself.
Yep.
So yeah.
No, I owned all those comics growing up, so I know the storyline. As far as they're taking,
I had a point, but I forgot it. That's why I just did the story.
Well, it'll come back to you. Don't worry, man.
Yeah.
It'll come back to you. We're talking now.
Yeah.
We're talking now, and
yeah, I know.
And we're talking about the Silver Age, right?
Yeah.
So to be on point, regardless of Thanos and his powers and his abilities and how it manifested in the comic books.
Where do you consider the death of the Golden Age? Because some people say it's the death of Gwen Stacy. Other people say it was the arrival of Alan Moore and Frank Miller.
Well, that's hard to say, man. I mean, from a comic book fan perspective, I would lean more to the death of Gwen Stacy, simply because, in regards to storylines, you were talking about a peak of comic book storylines there.
Yeah.
They were breaking new ground in far as storylines and you have to remember that comic books back then were considered fodder. It was nothing.
Yeah. Especially in America.
Yeah.
Because overseas they take comics more so serious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in North America, they were nothing. Comic books were nothing.
Yeah, that's why they're so valuable nowadays. That's what people don't understand.
No
There's
shit.
too many of them. Nothing you bought to pay for your kids' college, you idiot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So for the average comic fan like myself, I would say that the death of Gwen Stacy, it really painted a picture of storytelling that never was
Also,
done before.
like anything goes too. It's
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing.
Absolutely, anything goes. Storytelling. I mean, it's storytelling. Let's be honest. If we go back to the golden age of Superman and Batman, there was no real storytelling. It was here's a hero, here's a villain. Watch the hero beat on the villain and win in the end. With the advent of the Silver Age, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, you had a little bit more in-depth stories to the characters. Now, I don't know why that happened. I mean, why did they decide to make that happen? I don't know. And I promise you this, that none of them could have ever predicted that if that was the 1960s, 70s, that 40 years later, they would be making billions of dollars off these characters on the big screen.
Yeah. Because they could include everything.
And the reason, the reason I wanted to come back to you and talk to you is because I just got these Daredevil comics, and I went through the Frank Miller versions of it again.
The man with no fear.
With no fear, the man with no fear.
Yeah.
And I tried. It made me go back to as a kid and reading them, and I swear to God, this is why it is not just nostalgic, but it lasts, is because the storytelling was so fucking good. I remember the stories. I remember the purpose. I remember
You're not just like, remember that one page? It was like really cool the way they kicked each other out, not a slugfest.
No. I remember the purpose of the characters. I remember what they were fighting for and what they had to lose. It was really a different time, man. Really a different time in storytelling for comic books.
It's also that art can't help but express what's going on at that particular point in history, even if it's not in a direct way.
Okay, and I want to ask you, because you probably have more experience in the DC universe at that time point. How did that translate into the DC universe? I mean, I'm coming from a Marvel perspective, and the issues that I was subscribed to.
Really, DC started scrambling with Alan Moore.
Alan Moore, yeah.
And Grant Morrison. They, and Frank Miller to a lesser extent was considered. They were going to revitalize comics, as they like to say, reinvigorate it. So that was their goal.
And at that point, all those gentlemen that were writing these stories were successful, would you say? Do you think they were successful in their endeavors? Hello?
Hello, I love you, won't you tell me your name? Hello, I love you, let me jump in your game.
Yeah, I'm listening. Which is also, I'm playing a video game too.
Okay. I mean, but do you think that they were successful in their endeavors? Alan Moore.
Yeah, for what they for what they set out to do, definitely. I really lay the blame at Todd McFarlane for when he went to go, and where he wanted to all of a sudden make dolls and puppets.
Yeah.
You know, he turned into George Lucas. You know, he was a really good creator, and then just started making toys.
Well, okay, let me make this comparison. Todd McFarlane was an artist first.
Yeah, you know, his spaghetti webs, dude. I remember those. You know,
Oh, of course I remember the spaghetti webs. Of course. Spaghetti Spider-Man webs, I remember that. But Todd McFarlane was an artist first. He was not a writer.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when he was given the go-ahead by Marvel to do Spider-Man, and the title was Spider-Man, it wasn't Amazing Spider-Man, it wasn't Web of Spider-Man, it was Spider-Man. When he was given the go-ahead to do that title, suddenly the focus shifted away from storytelling and the art of the webs, so to speak. And that was like late 90s, I think. Correct?
Which issue or what?
Well, come on. Spider-Man issue number 1 was in the 90s. Or mid 90s, early 90s. I have 10 different covers of that same stupid issue.
Yeah. Are you talking about the reprints or the newer
I'm talking about the 90s version of Todd McFarlane when he first came in to play for Spider-Man.
Yeah, before he created Spawn.
Before he created Spawn. And before he created the title Spider-Man, he was doing the Amazing Spider-Man for about, I would say, 20 to 30 issues before.
Also, he's also the reason why we haven't been able to see a Marvel Man, a Captain Marvel, or anything of that. Because he's been lying about saying that he's had the rights.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I didn't know that.
Went completely against what's his face in the fucking election.
Wow.
All those years ago.
Jesus. What? But what about, after he came in, Marvel, about a few years later, hired Eric Larson. Larson tried to reproduce what he did and went on to make his own comics. What is it called now? Eric Larson's comics? Image. You still there, buddy? Hello? Hello?
Is it me you're looking for?
Hello?
I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile.
Hello?
You're all I've ever wanted.
Hello?
My arms are open wide. 'Cause you know.
All right, well, Dominik disappeared.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, okay, there he is.
I'm in GTA. I'm in survival, so I'm just running around the map trying not to die.
Are you playing a game?
Yeah.
What game?
Grand Theft Auto.
I've never played that.
It's fun. The online play is way better than before.
All right, well, fucking find a corner and stand in it and talk to me, buddy.
Yeah, I am. All right, so just go ahead and.
All right, so
I got it.
this is what I was saying. After McFarlane in the 90s, he basically did what he had to do. He sold 1 billion comics. He made a lot of money for Marvel.
But they kept Image. You know, he kept Image.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was Eric Larson. You remember Eric Larson came in afterwards.
Yeah. What's that Asian guy's name? Jim Lee or something like that?
God, I can't remember his name. But it was Eric Larson and him that made Image. Larson created what was the character's name? Dragon?
Dragon or Dagon?
Yeah. Basically, McFarlane credit after Marvel, after basically turning Marvel into shit, was Spawn, which
Yeah,
was
he was supposed to be the new Superman.
Yeah.
the real,
yeah, which was an actually pretty good character.
yeah. But yeah,
I liked that character.
yeah,
I really did. I still do. I mean,
yeah. Because when McFarlane touches upon the issue of Superman, how do you relate with someone who has infinite abilities? There's no. I think how he said it is the cost to Superman for him using his super abilities.
uh-huh.
That just,
What he fashioned him out. He fashioned Spawn after Superman. How
Yeah.
how so?
as a force in the universe to be reckoned with.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know if McFarlane actually tried to use Superman as a model.
No, I didn't mean Superman. I meant Captain Marvel or Marvel Man or whatever, whichever one of the names that they're claiming it. Shazam, basically.
Oh, really?
That's what Captain Marvel, Shazam, and Billy Batson. They're all actually the same character. It's just legally they have to be slightly different.
Yeah.
So is Marvel Man.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait till they try to interpret that in the movies.
It's too massive. It's too massive of an undertaking.
Yeah.
You
Somebody's
just
gonna get
set
fucked
the
up.
Infinity Gems.
Yeah. I can't wait till they try to interpret that in the movies.
Yeah, but no. Well, if you pay attention, in the first Avengers, Loki is wielding one of the Infinity Gems. The blue thing. He doesn't even realize how powerful it is. That blue thing in his hand, that's one of the Infinity Gems.
I think that was the mind gem.
Yeah, that was the mind gem. That's why he could
Control people.
It was something different. It was something different than the mind, but it was mind because it drove them crazy and it made them talk and.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I don't know if you want to go into Marvel movies. They've obviously, manipulated.
I just wanted to point out the irony of DC has been so successful at television, television movies,
Cartoons too.
Yeah, and cartoons up until what is it? When did what's his face kill Batman with those stupid
Flashpoint?
The nipples on the suit.
Oh yeah. That was that was bad. Batman and Robin.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck is that dude's name?
I don't remember, but I'm proud to say I've never seen that movie ever. Never watched it.
What movie?
Batman and Robin. I never watched it.
Yeah, I think that is what it's called too.
It is. It's called Batman and Robin.
Oh, it's Joel Schumacher's. That's what I'm trying to remember. Joel Schumacher. Joel Shitmaker.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I never will. Never watch it. I wish I could say the same about Spider-Man 2, but Amazing Spider-Man 2. I wish I could say that. I wish I could say I never watched that, but
I refuse to watch the second one because
do not.
I watched the first one and I went, I'm done.
No, do not watch it.
Yeah.
Do not fucking watch it because you'll lose all faith in any kind of. Oh, God damn it! The Dark Ages. I watch reviews of these movies a lot. I try to find people that are particular and understand movie making.
Well-versed.
Yeah, and they're well versed and they understand movie making, especially. And I watch some reviews. I'll try to put some links up later. I'm recording this, by the way. Okay. I'll try to put some links up a little bit later to people that can watch these reviews, just to get a good fucking idea of how horrible this shit is.
Let me take a drink real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What was that? What was the name of that guy? That Mexican, Spanish guy, or whatever. He grabbed his water during an interview or something like that. Took a big drink of it.
Jose?
Marco Rubio. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, Marco Rubio. Yeah.
I thought his name was Jose. Or Jesus. Who the fuck knows? But the point is like I make a point of I want to hear like real honest to God criticism of people that watch these movies and have some kind of depth to what it is to make a movie, especially comic book movies, because that's it's nostalgic for me.
But also, they don't understand the power, the power of symbolism.
Yeah.
The power of our minds basically needing to be sated first. With interesting stuff. So
Yeah.
For want of a better term.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what we're basically at the peak. We're at the top of the food chain. That's why we have movies, because we can. We don't have to worry about a lion jumping out of a bush to bite your head off.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing worse than going into a movie theater expecting to watch a movie about a mythical character that you want to see come to life.
It's like a religious experience.
Yeah.
For me, I go by myself.
Yeah. Oh, I do too, man. I've done it many times. But the worst part is doing that and then coming out and going, what the fuck did I just see?
Did that just happen? Was that real?
I always say this to people that are they say they're comic book fans, and they say they went to see a movie about a comic book character, and they come out of the movie and they give it praise, and I say to them, can you remember just recall to me 10 minutes of that movie, of what happened? They can't. It was that bad. They can't actually piece together 10 minutes of what they just saw. And to me, that is a perfect sign of a good movie or a bad movie. It's like a book. You read a book, and after you're done reading it, you have these memories in your head of events that happened, and you can replay them to other people in your own words. But
that's how it affects her.
Yeah.
That's why I got caught up reading it instead of doing the other reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, that's good, man. That's good. The reading reviews are way better, man. Way better. I think I'd like to. I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about it. I haven't decided I'm going to do it. But I've been thinking about going over some old Daredevil issues.
The Man Without Fear.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking about. Yeah, man. I'm thinking about going over them, reading them again, just taking notes and just putting an honest to God review of that, because it's so good. It's so fucking good.
Maybe we could do like a read along.
Yeah, man.
Like a read along, like like I'll read this part, and then that's what we'll be discussing.
That's a good idea, man. That's a great idea.
So the people in the comments below post what comic books you have, and we'll find out a comic book from DC and Marvel that almost every one of us has.
That's a great idea, man. You can download this shit. I've got every fucking not just Marvel. I got lots of shit. Okay, and I would love to just like read it and review it.
Yeah.
Like these really good issues. The shit that you really connect to. Fuck, I'd love to do that, man. Let's do that, man. Let's do that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's.
This is part of it. The hangout and this one up. That's part of it, but the next part of it is people
actually reading in the comic and reviewing it. Great fucking idea, man. Great idea. And again, this is where I'm going to bring this back to the Silver Age, because this is what we're talking about now. All right. For myself and for a lot of comic book readers who are still alive today and might be my age or your age that have experienced it, they understand the importance of storytelling. And the difference, in my opinion, is that the Golden Age did not depend on storytelling. It depended on creating characters to sell comics. And then eventually you had a moment where people were hired in the business to actually tell a story.
Yeah. Well, because it's an established fact that DC, for the most part, was owned by a mob firm, and they were basically just, laundering cash through there.
Mm.
So, they, like you said, basically at some point they just realized that they had to start telling stories.
Yes.
Because,
Telling stories.
Yeah. Tell a tale.
Silly, I know. Propaganda. Tales to astonish.
And which always appeals to most people,
Yeah.
I mean, going back to movies again, if we're talking about the Silver Age, think about Age of Ultron, and the Avengers. Now, the Avengers are very Silver Age. Very Silver Age. You can't get more Silver Age than the Avengers. We'd already had the origin of Iron Man and these characters that people that watch the movies, they don't know. They don't know these characters. They have no fucking clue. In fact, when the first Iron Man movie came out, my opinion was nobody that reads comic books even knows who this fucking guy is. How is this going to work? Seriously.
Well, that's why I like the idea of the Suicide Squad, because comic books are now such a popular medium that people are actually going to it to see, why do they keep making movies from this? And they're realizing, they're getting new customers.
Well, I think as far as Suicide Squad is concerned, DC is really making a gamble because
No, I just threw Suicide Squad out there as far as like them not being too much on the front lines is what I mean.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, Marvel did the same thing, but they had no choice because you have to remember Marvel sold off their main headline characters to other companies.
X-Men, Fantastic.
X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. All their main characters, they sold them off. They had no choice.
Daredevil too, but they got it back.
Yeah, they got it back. I mean, they got a lot of characters back in the end. But in the beginning, they just sold them all off because they're like, well, we're going bankrupt. Buy our character for movie rights. And that's how it's been for the last 20, 30 years. And the thing is that a character like Iron Man, I mean, come on. I mean, I have a long box of Iron Man, from the 80s and the 90s. I love that shit. I used to read it. I loved it. I sucked it up. I loved it as a kid. But nobody in the real world gives a shit about Iron Man.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
Cool. It's not cool, and that's why I don't like the fact that comic books are quote popular or cool nowadays, because I remember when it wasn't.
No.
And it should be a minority.
Well, whatever. I mean, okay, they're making money off of these characters now, but I'll tell you, man, 20 years ago, if you said Iron Man to anybody, they'd be like, "What? Are you talking about Ozzy Osbourne? Are you talking about Black Sabbath?" They don't fucking know, man. Nobody knew. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cared.
Yeah. And that song was made almost 10 years after he came out.
Yeah. And then now you have what? Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the big thing now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have Iron Man issue. It was 180s. I can't give you the exact number now, but I got it. I got the issue where Ant-Man actually had to go into his armor and fix it because he beat up the Hulk. It was the first time Iron Man ever knocked out the Hulk. It was like Iron Man 180 something. I can look it up, but I'm not going to right now. And I have that in my long box where Tony Stark as Iron Man actually knocked the Hulk out. He got in a fight with the Hulk. There was a fight. And he knocked him out with one punch. But that everything he had to do to knock him out paralyzed him in his armor. It short-circuited everything. and then Ant-Man had to go in to his armor and fix it. So the whole issue was like Ant-Man crawling through his armor against defenses, because his armor had defenses, and he's going in against it to put together some wires so that Tony Stark could breathe again, because he was trapped in his armor after knocking out the Hulk. Now,
You know what that reminds me of for some reason? The like the breaking of time and everything, the reality. Like, it reminds me of all that.
What? What does it remind you of?
Just the Infinity Gems.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the thing. Well, see, for me, that's the thing. Is like I read these issues. I read these comics that nobody cared about. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck about Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a fuck about Iron Man. Who cares?
Yeah. It wasn't doing good sales.
Nah, fuck.
Barely
Scott Lang, Hank Pym. Who the fuck cares? It's your fucking comic books. You're making a living off of your comic books. Now,
and the character outlives you, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. The character outlives you.
Yeah.
That is fucked up, man.
It's got to mess with you psychologically.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Siegel and Schuster. Didn't they seem like so distraught over what went on, like Alan Moore?
Yeah. They're dead and buried. Nobody gives a fuck about them.
Yeah,
But Superman lives on.
In Search of Steve Ditko, a documentary.
What? That's a documentary?
Yeah, it's a documentary. I recommend it to anybody.
In Search of Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's a documentary, In Search of Steve Ditko. They actually do get an interview. Spoilers.
No way, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to look for that.
Yeah, you have to check it out.
Well, that's the thing. But then you have your average comic book fan who understands the characters, and then all of a sudden now they're making these movies. And you're like, what? I know these characters. I know who they are, but I've been living with them for years. And now you have these little kids making memes about it, like they understand the whole fucking story.
Yeah.
It's
that's why you test their knowledge.
Well, you have to test their knowledge.
That's why I would like it if some of the people who comment would actually get in the debate instead of just leaving.
No, they'll never make a comment about what they know.
Be constructive with your criticism.
No. But this is beautiful because, we can bring it back as you and I talking about comic books and going into the Silver Age, and I still want to go back to Daredevil again at some point.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is that as we talk about this, we understand the difference between talking out your asshole or else talking about what you really know.
Yeah.
And for us and you and I, and from a comic book perspective, in a MGTOW perspective, we tend to talk about what we know, what we understand, and we try to share
what
it.
We like.
Yeah.
What we like.
And we're not trying to trick anybody based on what we understand and know. We're just trying to share information.
A trick requires someone who wants to be fooled, and unfortunately, far too many people want to be fooled.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's why you have to let them know this is the genuine article.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. I'm a comic book fan. I've been reading them since I was a kid. I've been reading them since I'm a kid, and I watch these movies develop, and I see these little kids make comments, and
they don't appreciate it.
No.
It pisses me off.
They have no clue.
They have no idea what a world is like with no Marvel and no DC
No.
movies, except for Christopher Reeve and AV,
Yes.
and the Batman.
Uh,
And it's, really, really.
And they've never read a comic book in their life.
Yeah, well, that's
Ever.
why I can't stand. That's why I can't stand, fake nerd girls.
Oh God, it's horrible. That's the worst. The worst is the women. The women that go, I like Ant-Man now. I'm like,
Yeah, no,
What?
but that's just
What?
it. That's just it. I've met chicks at the comic book store who, where some of them just wanted there just for attention, but the ones who were there for the comics, you could tell. If you know what I mean. I don't want to be mean, but you could tell that they were there for the comics, and they actually knew a lot. Remembered a lot. So.
oh God, that's the worst. The worst is these women online in
Yeah, but
Google.
at least some of them, some of the ones that I ran into, they actually know their stuff, so it helps.
I'm still waiting to meet one of them. I haven't
They're
met one yet.
unicorns. They're unicorns, man. You got to catch. If you see it, catch it.
That's incredible. And the worst part is them just pretending that they know all this shit about this character that they saw in a movie one time because their boyfriend dragged them to the movie. I mean, what's the point? I mean, what are you trying to prove?
Well, I also
Who are you trying to
you know,
impress?
I would ask them which version of the character did you like, because how there are multiple origins from once every single
Yeah.
character. They would probably give you the backstory that's not in the movie, and you could go, no, it's not what happened.
Well, I'll give you an example of what happened to me very recently in comments on Google Plus. Somebody posted, and I don't even know how I'm in all these comic book pages. When I see comic book, I just click join. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm in all these.
I think it also has to do with your YouTube, like what you watch on YouTube.
Yeah. So I get all these things in my feed, my Google feed, people talking about comic book shit and blah blah blah, and just recently somebody posted a picture of the cover of a What If, and this was a new What If, Marvel What If. Not the old What Ifs back in the 80s and 90s, but a new What If, the second generation. And it was what if the symbiote of Spider-Man took him over, right? So it was a what if the symbiote took over Spider-Man. And the cover of the issue, and I had this in paperback. I read it many times. The cover of it, they posted the cover, and what you saw was a picture of Spider-Man standing tall with his hands on his hips while Thor is punching him in the head with his hammer, and Hulk is punching him on the other side of his head, and he's kind of like not reacting, like he's all powerful.
Yeah.
And somebody posted this up and went, "What the fuck is this? Check this out, man." And people were like, is the symbiote that powerful that the Thor's hammer couldn't hurt him? Could Hulk not hurt him? And my response was, you fucking morons. You've never read that comic. You don't even know what the symbiote is. And that's a cover of a comic book. It's a cover. It's a cover. Like you know how when they want a movie to come out and they make a trailer? The trailer's a lie. It's not the movie. It's designed to make you want to go see it. The cover has nothing to do with what happened in the story. And
well, that's also something that occurred in the '90s a lot more. The special editions, making all that money off of people who were thinking that every issue was going to buy their kids' way into school.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about making multiple covers of the same issue, yes.
Speculator.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about also, the speculator bubble, which caused comics a lot of problems, even up to this day.
Well, that's the whole point. Is like, if you want to sell a comic book, your cover is designed to sell the comic book, so they read it. It's not a representation of what's happening inside.
and also, by the way, DC and Marvel own the term superhero. So
I know.
Any iteration that you want to use of superhero, you have to go to them, which is fascist.
Yeah, I've heard that, man. But you got to understand, like I'm saying, is like the cover does not represent the story. It's there to sell you. It's there
That's
to
advertising.
It's
Yeah, that's
advertising. It's the same as a trailer of a movie, of these superhero movies. And I'm so pissed off of these people that try to dissect the trailer.
Yeah, I don't
and
want
pay
to,
money to see it.
Shit. Yeah, I don't.
It's like, what?
I
No.
don't want to ruin it with all this hype.
You know what? That's the equivalent of, there's a comic book coming out. Here's the cover. Here's the cover of the comic book. Now buy the cover, and then later pay for the actual comic. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. And these guys, these passe comic book fans, when they see a trailer come out and they try to dissect it and understand the movie and the character, that they don't know the character at all. They have no idea. And I saw this picture where I told you, it was what if the symbiote had taken over Peter Parker, right? It's a what if. It's what if. And on the cover, like I said, there's the Thor's hammers punching him in the head and Hulk's punching him in the head, and the symbiote Spider-Man is just standing there like he's just taking it, like nothing happened. And I swear to God, everybody's like, how is that possible?
Spider-Man was molested when he was a kid, right?
Yeah, that's an old trope from something else that happened back in the 60s.
That happened during the Silver Age, though.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that, but it's not canon. It's not canon. Actually, that story was made by Marvel to appease certain political concepts of spousal abuse, because the comics often used to have to deal with drug abuse, all those kind of issues. That particular story was dealt with because of spousal abuse, and they wanted to tie it in to their comics, so that the children that were reading it would understand a political concept a little better. It's not canon. It's not canon. That's not part of the hero. That's part of political bullshit.
An otherworld story.
Yeah. No, it's total bullshit. But what I was saying about the concept, where I saw this person put this picture up, I watched through hundreds and hundreds of comments of people going, how is that possible that Thor's hammer couldn't hurt him? How is it possible that the Hulk punching him in the head? And I just...
How is it possible you're such a dumb cunt?
Well, for me, for me it was like, wait a second. Have you ever read a comic book in your life?
Exactly.
I mean, seriously? Because that's a cover. It's designed to... How are you equating that to your Marvel Cinematic Universe that's the only thing you understand? And even then, every trailer you've ever watched to every movie you've ever watched was never honest in what you actually... in actually what was delivered to you. It's so easy to weed out these people that have no concept, man. Zero concept of the characters in their stories.
Sometimes that's what's needed, a detachment from a lot of the nonsense, and someone with a better perspective to be able to see things.
Well, you and me, we know comics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people don't.
Yeah, well, they should, because it's like, are you gonna go see Lord of the Rings? That type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I don't like the movies, I'm just saying, the concept of something that you love being turned into a movie and possibly being messed up, like that's how they'll feel about characters that they read books about. Oh,
Yeah.
I would hate to see this character, this and that. It's the same way for us.
And even if they're
But
disappointed.
but it just reminds me of this. Like, this is what I would say to religious people. Why can't you just believe in Thor? Why can't you just believe in Galactus? Why can't you just and not take it real? Because we have lots of fun talking about Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Mephisto. Who are you talking about? Whichever one.
Yeah,
Beyonder,
absolutely.
all of it. The Watcher even.
Yeah.
From both DC universe and Marvel universe.
Mhm.
Because the Watcher is a Watcher.
I don't know if it's just me, man, but I get really angry when I see these fucking posers.
These nerd girls.
Yeah,
I want to strangle them with their own hair.
I can hate it.
Dude, I want to strangle them with their own hair. Like just viciously. No passion to it at all. Just fucking pulling. Not even sexual. Just angry.
Yeah, man.
Angry.
And a lot of them are like these nerd girls, man. Like, what?
Because people acquiesce. People, put up with that bitch behavior. I've seen bitches try to get away with that behavior at different places and it doesn't work because people fall for it.
God, I'm the first to call them out too. Like, I'm the first. I don't know why, but I'm subscribed to a bunch of these comic book pages in Google Plus, so they're always coming up in my news feed. And all I see is a bunch of goddamn morons making stupid comments. And half the time it's these stupid women. Yeah. And they have no clue about comic books or these characters. Why are they even there? Yeah. And I call them out on it every single time.
Men are having fun. Alert, alert. Fun alert, fun alert.
And I call them out every single time. And I'm an asshole about it. Really, I'm an asshole about it. And I call them out. And
real quick, I just like to bring this up because I saw this put up in the comment section last time you and I made a video. One guy was talking about how his wife was jealous of his comic books, and like they were a physical being, basically jealous of them. But, yeah.
Interesting. His wife was jealous of his comic books.
And I've seen that comment a lot of times, but in different ways, basically.
Do you want me to give you the ultimate story about that from personal experience?
Yeah.
Personal fucking experience, man. You brought it up. I'm gonna drop the hammer down on that. When I was first married, all right. You know what one of my first hobbies was after I got married and bought a house and was trying to be a normal, good husband? My first hobby was I wanted to make comic books. I don't know if I told you this before. And I did.
Part of it, but not from this perspective.
I did. I was writing the stories, and I found the artists here for pretty good price. And I have the fucking evidence. I got the comics.
I would fucking kill for this person artist.
Oh, there's many. There's so many good artists here. Fuck. That's why I was like overjoyed. I was like, wow, I can get all these good artists for cheap. Fuck this, I'm gonna make comic books. Now, my mistake was doing it after I got married. You know, do you know what my wife fucking did, man? I was up in my room so often writing out these comic books, and I was spending a lot of time going and meeting the artists and talking about how it would be put into a page. Like, I put a lot of money, time, and effort. It was a hobby. And I loved it. And I still have the evidence for that, man. These comics I made. I still have it. And one day, I swear to God, man, one day, I came home. And my wife had deleted and erased everything I'd done from my computer.
That's fucked up on so many levels.
Every single piece of work I've done, and it cost me a lot of fucking money. You hire, if you make a comic.
I'm just like stunned silent because like it's so that's so fucking angry.
You don't understand, man.
How's she not dead? How's she not dead?
You don't understand. You don't understand how I felt. Look, for every page, I paid per page, and I was writing. I was just starting, man. I was like, oh, this is great. I got a new series. I got these characters. I was paying per page, and per page, I was paying about 25. I guess now I could translate it to about 25 to 30 American dollars a page for these really good artists. And I have the goddamn evidence. I can show you what they did. 25 to 30 bucks a page. And my comics were about 25 pages long. Right?
Yeah.
And I already had at that point about 4 or 5 different characters. And about half a dozen, maybe 8, almost a dozen issues that I had in post-production, like ready to be printed, man. And she erased it, deleted it, all of it.
Oh, fuck that.
And I came home one day. I went on my computer. I'm like, went to look up my work. It's gone. Everything gone. And I was in the middle of buying a house at the time for us to live in. And I basically said, where is my work? She's like, I deleted it. All of it. Because you're spending too much time doing that and not spending enough time paying attention to me. I lost it, man. Done. I lost it.
Fucking blatant narcissism.
I lost it. You know what I did? I could have done worse. Seriously, I could have done worse. But I quietly went to her mother. You know, I'm in her country. I went to her mother and I said, I am going to leave your daughter for a while and I'm leaving her, and you'll see me in a couple months because I'm done. I mean, I quietly walked away from that, man. I mean, I lost shit that I couldn't recover. I recovered a lot of it, right? I did. And I still have some of it.
But mentally, though.
No, it just...
Mentally, it fucks with you. Right?
It fucked everything up, man. I mean, I spent so much money and time creating that, man. So much. And for her to just so easily just go, nah, you're not paying attention to me. I deleted it all.
The end, you know. Because, like the end, that's why, that right there is why women should be allowed to be hit, you know. If you allowed to hit her, man. She wouldn't do that shit.
I didn't hit her. I didn't. I should have, but I didn't. But I'll tell you, man, I've never felt more depressed and confused in my life at that moment. And at that moment, I realized at that moment that my marriage is not going to last. I mean, it lasted for about 2 years after that. I made it. I tried to make it, but...
well, that whole thing about the first thing about a problem is, realizing that it exists.
Yeah.
That's how you solve a problem.
But that was I mean, imagine, just imagine, years of work and money just for a hobby. I mean, you're not hurting anybody, man.
Yeah.
Just for a hobby. And then one woman can just say, nah, fuck you. Destroy it all. And then you have to pick up the pieces and go, what?
Put them back together.
What? Really? That I swear to God, man, it fucked me up. I mean, I had a lot of good friends here that were helping me translate it to Indonesian. I had a lot of good artist friends. I put a lot of work into it, man. So much work and money, you know, with good artists. And all it took was one disgruntled woman to just wipe it out because she didn't feel good, you know.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking of a list of documentaries and just a quick list to let people know, like the animated ones, like some of the Justice Leagues, like Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yeah, good one. That's a good one. Are you talking about comics or cartoons?
I'm talking about documentaries about comic books.
Oh, okay.
Comic books that are, so.
Whoa,
Like,
fuck.
Like Watchmen, for instance. Anything by Alan Moore.
If you have lists of documentaries for that, send them to me and I'll post them up because.
Get a pen down real quick.
No. I'm not gonna get a pen, man. This is fucking modern age. Just type it out and send it in the
I'll forget what I was doing.
No, you're talking about documentaries. Put it in your Dominik in our chat box here. Just names. Type it out.
Okay. Oh yeah, in the chat box on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would recommend that anybody wanting to understand the Silver Age of comic books, and that's where we should go back to. What can we recommend to people that want to understand the Silver Age of comic books? Because it was a moment of glory. I would suggest Frank Miller's run on Daredevil.
Well, first of all, I would say In Search of Steve Ditko would be the first one.
Yes, now that's a documentary, right?
Yeah.
Okay, In Search, and I've never seen that, so...
Yeah.
In Search of Steve Ditko?
In Search of Steve Ditko. You can get it off of, you can get off torrents.
Yeah, you can get it off torrents. You can find it. And another thing is if you guys are interested in some real Silver Age good story writing, go to Daredevil around about 220. I'll try to find like the run, but if you go around 220 to 250, you're talking about some great storytelling. And at the same time, Iron Man, even at those days, really developed as a character. I mean, the Iron Man that you all know to love in the movies, that's where it came from. In fact, even did you watch the Daredevil TV series on Netflix?
I've seen it.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Now, you tell me that was not taken from the Silver Age.
Yeah, that's straight out of The Man with No Fear.
Exactly, man. Now, and think about this. Let's draw back to DC for a moment. Think about Man of Steel and where they're trying to take that. Where does that come from?
Silver Age.
Silver Age, my friend. I mean, they're trying to take stories that worked, and they're trying to adapt it to film.
Yeah. That worked 20, almost 30 years ago.
30 years ago. But they still work because they're good fucking stories. Now,
because they're the archetypes that you're dealing with.
Yeah, we'll try to, translate it into film. You got another problem to deal with, but still, storytelling. So, and I want to say this, any of you posers out there that haven't read a fucking comic book in your life but try to pretend that you understand these characters, do yourself a favor and read these comic books we're talking about. So you don't come off as some kind of asshole.
And make all of us look bad.
Yeah, exactly. You know, don't come off as some kind of asshole like, I like Ant-Man because it was a movie. Fuck you.
Yeah, do you know why Ant-Man beat up his wife? You know? Do you know he punched his wife once?
Wow, they don't know shit. They don't know nothing about that shit, man.
Well, that was my point. It's just, he and his wife.
You know, I've always thought about that. Like, I talk to people on these threads that post this bullshit about comic books. I remember this one guy saying. Remember, I was telling you about the what if if the symbiote took over Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And that's a classic what if tale, and it's from the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, early 90s. And I had that issue. And some asshole posted it up, and everybody's like, how could Thor punch him in the head? Just based on the cover. Because they never read the fucking comic. They never read the goddamn comic. And I was thinking in my head, how could I test these people to really know if they read it? Because some guy's like, I have that comic. And I said, really? You have that comic? Tell me what happened. Explain to me what happened in that comic. They can't. They don't do it. They never will. It's fantastic storytelling.
It's almost like put up a booth, like put up a booth and be like, have people asking questions.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think to myself, what question could I ask them to really throw them up? You know, because it's easy in modern age. They could just Google it, or, I could ask them something simple and they could just Google it. And say, oh, no.
That's why it would have to be up front.
Yeah. It's got to be something real personal, in the issue.
Something obscure, not something.
Yeah.
Like not the death of somebody. Not
yeah.
Something that a lot of people would know. Even
absolutely.
Perfect readers.
Well, for example,
mention a weird one of the weird characters that they don't use, like the one who was above all.
Yes.
Above all.
Well, think about this. In the example I'm giving you, this was Golden Age what if storytelling from Marvel. I know DC did it as well, but this is really Golden Age what if storytelling. And I had the comic. I've read it 1,000 times, and the cover does not justify what happens inside the book. And there, everybody's like, how could Thor punch him in the head and him not be affected? How could Hulk punch him in? And I'm like, my question was, okay, and one guy's like, I have that comic book, but the sad part is he dies in the end. That was his comment. I'm like, what? Who dies in the end? And my question was, okay, who was actually possessed by the symbiote in that what if issue? What characters? Because it was more than Spider-Man. Which characters? They couldn't respond. We're living in an age of people who are looking for hits and bites and clicks because they pretend they like Marvel or DC. You know that, right?